Hello, I'm Shivani Gopal. I'm the founder and CEO of Elladex. We're a digital Rolodex for women who want to elevate their lives personally, professionally, and financially. I wasn't always, though, a startup CEO. I found myself going to university, doing a master's in commerce, majoring in financial planning, and eventually becoming a financial planner. So I spent 5 incredible years as a financial advisor and then eventually moved on into business development and through to senior leadership until I decided that it was time for me to follow my calling and to support women in achieving their forever growing potential. And so I decided to leverage off my personal experiences that made me realize that my challenges were really mirrored collectively with women globally, and also reflecting on the challenges that I saw through the privileges that I had being a financial advisor. And I leveraged those insights along with my own success formula to success personally, professionally, and financially, and created a Rolodex for women, now Elladex, to enable women to achieve their potential. So my leadership journey in getting me to where I am today actually started with rejection. A really harsh version of rejection, actually. You see, when I first became a financial advisor, I had already decided that I wanted to be the best financial planner that Sydney had ever seen. And I know that some of you may be going, whoa, that's a big ask, but hey, what's wrong with that, right? I think that we should all have incredible, lofty goals for ourselves and then back ourselves in making it happen. I went to someone who I thought could really help me in achieving that goal. I looked through our company databases and I found the most successful financial planner who was there in our company. Luckily for me, he was based in Sydney, and at a PD day, I thought, well, the time is right and I'll use that opportunity to ask to be taken under his wing. And so, like any good student, I did my research and I looked him up and I walked up to him and I told him just how much I admired him and why. And I asked him that even though I was fully qualified and ready, if he would just take me under his wing for mentoring, I would be so thrilled that I would work for him as an assistant, despite being a fully fledged and accredited advisor. And unfortunately, that is where I experienced this really hard rejection that I was telling you about. And that is where I was told, no, I'm sorry, you are far too young, and if you still stick around and you're here in 10 years' time and you can cut it, then come back and look me up and we can talk then. And needless to say, I was devastated. But it did put me on an incredibly transformational path. And it made me decide that, you know what, regardless of what comes my way, I deserve to be the absolute best that I can be. And I will find that way for myself. If no one else, I will be the greatest advocate for my success. And so I decided to back myself. I needed the whole package to come together, not just my university education, to be taken seriously and to be successful. In doing that, I also created my own Rolodex of mentors. You see, I decided I wasn't going to leave myself vulnerable to be rejected anymore. No. What I was going to do instead was to make my Rolodex, and I managed to get the collective mentoring that I really needed. But it was through that that I realized some really important lessons. Yes, you need a lifelong relationship with mentoring in order to be successful, but you also need a diverse range of mentors. You actually need to speak with different people and get varying perspectives, because otherwise you tend to get comfortable in one relationship. You don't tend to see another side of things. You don't tend to see how you could level something up even more. And as a result, you are the one who misses out. Creating a Rolodex for mentors and creating a diverse set of opinions was my very first step to success and made a huge part of my success formula that I fused into Elladex today. So I mentioned this success formula. What is it? One part of it is having a Rolodex of mentors, having your own network that you can call upon so that you can continually level up. The other part is knowing that I had never arrived in the world. Now, I know that sounds really interesting because we all want to arrive in the world, and that has such a huge feeling of confidence, of groundedness. But at the same time, I think it's a false illusion. I think that we so often land in our roles and think we've arrived. We've finished our degree and we think we've arrived. But the truth for me, at least, was that I hadn't. and I still have not. In order to arrive, I had to keep adding into my journey. I had to keep evolving. And that meant that I had to have a strong relationship with lifelong learning. And so I kept investing in myself personally. How worldly could I be? How do I build up my own sense of confidence? How do I build up my own sense of self? I kept building on my own knowledge professionally so that I could exhibit leadership skills, all the different various kinds that they were. And also my own financial game. If I was going to advise other people on their finances, well, hey, I had to walk the walk and talk the talk too. And so it meant that every day I was reading something, I was downloading something, I was telling other people about it, because if I was, then I was teaching them. That relationship with lifelong learning became part of my success formula. And every day, even if I just spent 5 minutes or 10 minutes reading something and investing in myself, I counted that as an absolute win. It was through this journey that I eventually became incredibly successful in my corporate career. But I also found that when I was in the boardroom, there was no women with me, and there was no women of colour with me. And it was a really lonely place to be. It was so lonely that I, in fact, started second guessing myself. You see, when you're the minority, you often find, actually, am I saying the right thing? Can I take those risks? Because I'm already outruled. I don't want to stand out for the wrong reasons. Your imposter syndrome is just firing on all engines. By having women with you, by having other people of colour with you, you are genuinely in safe company. It is a huge contributor to workplace psychological safety, and it enables you and it emboldens you to come out with those incredible ideas and say, hey, I back them, because chances are someone else probably in this room right here within this proximity also does too. And because I realised that I couldn't see any women alongside with me, it was then that I decided, you know what? It's time to pack up the bags of this incredible corporate career that I so loved, and it's time to help other women follow this incredible journey alongside with me. So we've talked a lot about mentoring, but we haven't actually defined what mentoring is versus coaching. And this is something that I get asked all the time. You see, a mentor is someone who shares their knowledge or their skills or their experience or their stories in order to help you develop and grow. Whereas a coach will help you find your own path and your own answers from within. And sometimes they do roll up their sleeves and they help you do the work. A great example I can give for this is a coach will often ask you lots and lots of questions. So you might go to them and say, oh, you know, I've had a really tough week. I felt like I've been spinning my wheels the entire time. I've got a whole bunch of big projects that I need to get done and I'm just not driving any momentum. And a coach will probably say, interesting. Why do you think that is? What's been standing in your way? What do you think you need to do in order to unplug that congestion in your life? So a coach will ask you a lot of questions and guide you down a path in order to help you discover your own answers. And there's a lot of self-discovery work that happens with coaching. It's also great and it has its own place. A mentor is someone who will probably go, okay, tell me more about that, and really get you to level out all of those experiences. And then they might share a story with you on when they've gone through exactly the same thing and what they did to get out of it. They'll often share solutions with you a lot quickly, and they'll give you their own insight so that you can leverage off that and go, bingo, that's me, that's going to work, thank you, I'm going to use that and plug and play it into my own life. They are both incredibly valuable and they're both really useful to you at different phases of your life. Knowing the difference just helps you figure out if you're going to go to a mentor or a coach. But here's a hot tip. A mentor can be absolutely anyone. Often when people come to Elladex, they look for our most highest profile mentors. They want the CEOs of multinational companies. They want the CEOs in Silicon Valley, for example. And yes, we do have those. But often your best mentors come from people who are doing a similar role to you in a different industry or a different company, or someone who was actually doing the same role as you 3 or 4 years ago. Because sometimes there's those incredible bright sparks and areas of innovation that you've missed, that you've forgotten, that you can rekindle into your life. And often it's the small things that go a really long way. So my tip is not to make the mistake of going for the best, biggest, boldest title in someone, in a mentor, and actually find other people that you can collaborate with and share ideas with, and have a diverse set of people that you speak to in whoever you reach out to. So if you'd like to have mentoring for yourself, or if you would like to be a mentor, how do you do that? Well, first off, you can be a mentor anywhere, anytime, and start with your inner circle. I find that micro mentoring moments are the most fulfilling, gratifying experiences. And I try to do that by creating a little text message group or a WhatsApp group for my friends. And I give them my musings and my mentoring moments, and they give me theirs back. And it's my daily shower of mentoring inspiration. So don't forget your little scope of influence that you can yield at any point. But also, mentoring is universal. At any point in time, you can find a mentoring platform by doing a very quick Google search and typing in mentoring and where it is that you live. And I know that you will find a place that is right for you. Now, for those of you who are leading large teams or running your own organisations, mentoring can actually be an incredibly powerful tool to enabling and progressing gender equality. We know this because we've just recently done some research into diversity, equity and inclusion in corporate Australia. And what we found is that provided the hygiene is met in your organisations, and what I mean by that is that you're paying people at market rates, you're giving things like flexible workplace options, and they've got a leader that they know and trust and they can go to, provided those areas are met, mentoring was the next biggest thing that women wanted. And 93% of them, actually, over 2,500 people that we interviewed, 93% of them said that they wanted this support from their organisations. The impact of providing mentoring to these people meant that they felt that they were being invested in. And for you as an organisation, the benefit was greater retention and greater levels of growth of the people that you have in the business. There's also another really powerful benefit of mentoring, and that is that when you do mentoring within your organisation, you're also enabling sponsorship. You see, if I worked for your organisation, and even if I was there for a couple of years, and even if you thought I was a good egg and I was doing a really good job in my role in supporting the organisation, I couldn't come to you or my manager one removed and say, hey, I think I'm doing a great job, I really want that job, and I really want you to back me for it. It's just not going to work. But if you were mentoring me, if you were supporting me, if you were seeing my goals and my gains, and you were seeing everything that I was doing in order to get there, you were seeing how I was backing myself and investing in my own growth and investing in the growth of the organisation, you would very organically back me for other positions. That is how sponsorship works. And when mentoring happens inside an organisation, sponsorship is more likely to happen. And so as a result, you are really fostering gender equality and growth in your organisation, because the women end up getting more and more leadership positions and take up more and more new projects and move around. And so it's one of the best, most powerful things that you can do to create positive change. Now, before I leave you, I'd like to share with you one final insight, and that is how you can be in the business of inclusivity. You see, this is so important because what we've just learned through our recent research on diversity, equity and inclusion is that in corporate Australia, we do that first bit really well. You see, we've all focused on diversity, and in organisations today, we've been successful at that. We've brought in women and we've brought in people of colour. The problem is we haven't genuinely been inclusive. We haven't been able to give these people the roles of power and authority. And so as a result, we don't have genuine inclusivity. And so as a result, it's not genuinely sustainable and people end up leaving. What we need to encourage you to do is to invest in inclusivity, and the diversity instead will come. We've realised in corporate Australia that what we've actually built isn't so much a glass ceiling that women themselves need to shatter in order to get to the next level. It's not so much of a bamboo ceiling, but actually a perspex ceiling. It's something that we've just coined in reflection of these learnings, because we've been able to invite the right people into the room. But there's a perspex wall right there in between us, and their impact is being muted because they don't have authority. So what we need to do is we need to invest in programs, in mentorship programs, for example, leadership programs, and make sure that we are spending time with the right people, giving them the right power, the right resources, the right time, so that they too can advance in their careers and be able to be and build an inclusive business of tomorrow. So that's me on leadership, mentoring and inclusion. Now it's over to you and everyone in the room to discuss your learnings from today. And if you'd like more, you can of course go to Women in Focus. If you'd like to hear from me, you can find me at elladex.com or Shivani_Gopal on Instagram. Thank you.